Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all of you, those who are listening and watching us tonight. I'm Chris Mallika Bhadra, and I welcome you all to another episode on Chai Chat and Community by Word Palette. And before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, and pay my respect to their elders past, present, and emerging. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about something that's very important not only to this generation but it connects us with our previous generation and also holds a link for the future generations to come. I'll be talking about the effect of parenting on children, right? And it's I'm very blessed and fortunate that I have views tonight from both sides of the table. So I have a parent and I have a young woman of our generation, so it'll be good to hear thoughts from either side of the table, and maybe I can pitch in somewhere. But that it'll see. So I'm very pleased to bring in two of my guests. Ms. Sumita Mukherjee joining from Delhi. She happens to be my teacher. So she's taught us in school in Alcon Public School when I was in year 11 and 12. And Richa also joins us from Delhi. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and a very warm welcome. I'll start with Shumita ma'am first, and then I'll move on to you, Richa. Ma'am, please tell us a bit about yourself.
First of all, thank you, Chris. Today is one of the most enjoyable moment for me that I am getting interviewed by my very favorite student and very accomplished student. Thank you once again. Um, for me, I have nothing much to speak. I started my career always as a teacher, and I've been teaching for last 31 years. So I was in India for almost my teaching career, I mean, for 20 years. Then I moved to Kenya, and I was a director advancement up till 30th July 2021 at Riara University, Kenya. And presently I'm doing my PhD. I should be able to finish it by end of this year from Manav Rachna University in computer science. So that's it. And I have a e-platform saying e-Sanskriti, where every month we have some cultural nights across the globe, and that keeps me going, and I enjoy singing, dancing, and getting people for plays and talk and address the globe. So that's what I am.
That's amazing, ma'am. Moving on to Richa. Richa, please tell us about yourself.
First of all, thank you so much, Chris. I know we met just out of the blue, so I really appreciate you inviting me here. I am Richa Ghavaar, and I am currently a PhD candidate in management at Università di Bologna in Italy. And I'm 26 years old, and yeah, that's about me.
All right. Okay. So moving on to so Shah says, "Hello, girls. How are you? Thank you, Shah, for tuning in, and we're doing well. Thank you." Right. So the first thing that I want to kind of pick your brains on is, what is the effect of parenting? Like, is it easy? Is it difficult? How do we come across parenting on the children? What are your thoughts, like coming from both as a parent and a child? So I'll start with Shumita ma'am, you first, and then I'll come to you, Richa. The question is, what are your thoughts on difficult or easy parenting? Can we put an adjective to it, or it's just you go with the flow?
Uh, these days the question arises of adjective. I think parenting, the very term, is something which says you have to nurture, you have to bring somebody, and you have to get that child or children and show the world.
Hmm.
You, until unless there is a parent, whether it is legal, illegal, whatever it is. I mean, the moment we say parent, that means
Yeah.
parent is getting, and the progeny, and you have to get somebody to groom to.
Hmm.
So for me as a parent, I have been also very lucky to get parenting from brilliant set of parents. And I personally feel that so far, my parenting or anyone else's parenting to the children should be with a positive tune.
Hmm.
because parenting itself, it doesn't mean that you have to be always with a stick, or you are going to be a disciplinarian, but it is something which is a very very sweet term. It can be togetherness, it can be a sort of belonging, it can
Hmm.
be it gives you a positive attitude, it gives you something which you say that I am a parent, or I am one part of the parent. I
Yeah.
mean, that is with a pride, I feel parenting is something should be addressed with.
So,
That's
so
from
you
my
mean most of it is positivity
yes,
related.
yes.
Moving on to the next gen, Richa, as someone who has received parenting up till now, what are your thoughts on this?
I think as I'm growing older, I'm realizing parenting is not easy. So there are times I have said to my parents, "You didn't do right, you didn't do this to me." And then I realized that they were also figuring out themselves as we were growing. They were trying to figure out how to parent, and their parents' style of parenting was so different, and they had to adapt to the current generation's parenting style. And also as a person, I'm also changing as I'm moving with different crowd, and they're forced to change again their style, and they're struggling as well, and at times they're not able to figure out. And when they're not able to figure out, I get really angry that you are being not fair to me. So I think it's difficult, but you learn as you go with the flow. And I agree with Sumita ma'am that yes, it is something that's really positive, because it's a lot of responsibility for a human being.
Hmm.
But I think as kids, we are not able to fully appreciate it because we do not go through these hardships. I mean, as a person, I did not have to pay all my bills since childhood. So managing everything, it is extremely difficult, and I wish we could appreciate it more. But until I think we are a parent ourselves, we will not be able to.
Yeah, that is a golden line that I've heard. That one day become when you become a mother, will you realize the effects of motherhood and all that. Richard, the next thing I want to start with you and then go on to ma'am is, so when you mention the term difficult, like parents are being difficult, where do you think this behavior comes from, like trying to be a difficult parent or trying to ace the concept of parenting? Where do you think this comes from? Is it that, oh, I have to be the best mother or the best father to my child as per the societal standards, or is this for the betterment of the child? Where does this come from? What do you think?
I think I can only speak for my parents. So I think it's a mixture of both,
Mm,
where they have gone through certain experiences in their life, and they, like, if they had some struggles, they don't want me to go through it.
mm,
But at the same time, they don't realize that I am going to have my struggles. They cannot take them away, and my life cannot be a bed of roses. So I think I've seen them try to tell me a lot of things where they want me to do things in a certain way because they think it's gonna make my life easier.
mm,
And but the thing is, it's not going to make my life easier because I'm a different person with different set of values and thinking.
yeah.
So that's when you tend to clash. And a lot of times, I mean, for example, I feel like in comparison to a lot of people, I come from a privileged background, and so I always got angry when my parents would say, "No, you need to get married to a well-off guy." And I would always argue, why can't I afford my own things? Why can't I earn? And they would say, you're already 26. By the end of your PhD, you'll be 31. You'll be probably affording a house by 35, 36. And are you going to live in struggle all the time? So their natural next step is finding a rich boy, or at least a well-off boy who can take care of those things. So I understand that as per societal standards, they have certain pressures, but I think they also want me to live an easier life, and that's when differences of opinion starts cropping up. Yeah.
No, well said, Rich. I'm moving on to Shumita, ma'am. You've done the parenting thing quite well now. So you've two grown young men. So where do you think this effort comes in? That is it that, oh, I have to be the best mom or the best dad, or is it like, oh, I have to live as per the society's standards of becoming the best parents?
Yeah. Lovely question. That's a very, very common question we ask for parenting. Chris, as I've been always a teacher, so the question of taking care of the society and what society will tell never affected me,
Hmm.
because I always felt that whatever I want, I wish to do, I will do it. But of course, I won't use the term difficult, but when you are parenting two different children, though they are from the same parents, but both of them are different. So, you have to be so, I won't say political, but you have to be very, very aware that both your children, even if you expect that I want one has to do like that, the other way, but they two are two different identities,
Yeah, yeah.
so you have to make a balance. You have to make a balance in such a manner that there is no comparison. I personally think children don't like comparison, and you have to be that aware that yes, this particular adjective is liked by my ex, and this particular adjective is liked by y. So you try to emphasize on those adjectives so that they are happy. At the same time, you have to have some limits. I was abroad when my youngest son was in first year, so I did not feel like leaving India and go, but then I had some duties for my husband who was there for last 20 years. So I had to set some limits, because until unless you set a limit, it doesn't mean that you are putting some kind of a negative thoughts that you can't do this. But
Hmm.
like you have to be home by 11, it's not for me also, it's for the child himself, so that we are also happy that he is back home. He has not been attacked with any kind of mishaps or anything. So those kind of limits, but at the same time, I felt that children should be given, as Richa said. I personally feel, Richa, that when we were young and we were going through our childhood, we were not very clear with many aspects and concepts. But these days, children, they are so focused, thanks to digital media. Of course, sometimes WhatsApp University also makes harm to the children, but you can go through it. You have enough data, you have enough logical reasonings which enforces you that no, this is correct. So I feel when they are sure and they are very confident they can take it, we as a parents must listen to them, and we must support them, and we must motivate that yes, so far if you can achieve the goals whichever you wanted, I'm sure in future also you'll be able to do. And just the last one, yes, comfort. All parents want their children should live comfortably. Not for that it should be very rich or a money aided, but as a mother or as a father, I feel like if you're making a cup of tea, it's not that you are interfering. But then when you come from Italy and spend time with your parents, I'm sure they feel, let me make a cup of tea for her. So it is a kind of concern. We feel that we are the people who can give you the best comforts. So
Ma'am,
that
there's this interesting thing that you mentioned. You said that between two siblings there should be no comparison. So is it
yeah.
only between the siblings, or do you think it's not right to even compare your child to somebody else's child? Do you think that creates a negative effect on the child's mind somewhere?
100%. See, charity begins at home. So we will start with your own siblings first. And then, when they know that, yes, we too are absolutely treated equally, not necessarily both your siblings will be both the siblings will be equally intelligent, equal, that critical thinking. So you have to, weigh it out. And of course, with the other children, I feel most of the parents feel that it's such a pride to have your own children, whatever they are doing. So that comes secondary. Until unless it's quite significant that yes, that boy is doing good or that girl is doing good. I don't think anything wrong in it, Chris. For me, for anybody, if somebody is doing good, appreciation is the first path to touch the heart of any person. Appreciation brings positivity. So that's a kind of adjective which teaches you that we have to live in a society. You have to be, you have to be, I mean, for any small thing, if you say thank you, it makes a difference.
I agree.
So that's a secondary part.
My father says a great topic, but why would a parent be toxic to their child? Don't you think some responsibility? I don't get the second question, but for the first part they said why would, and he also says, ma'am, don't you think comparison is sometimes better? So ma'am, this is I think more addressed to you. The next
Yeah.
question I'll ask both of you for the
Okay,
toxic.
fine. Of course, comparison is good in the sense if we do a positive comparison, that look, this child could clear his GMAT in 2 attempts. I'm sure you will also be in a position to do in 2 attempts. If not, even third, fourth attempt doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Everybody has a different, I mean, kind of a gray matter. Of course, comparison, but then if you keep on poking and saying that child has done so good, I've given you all the facilities, you have been provided with all the amenities, why can't you do it? I
Yeah.
find that you should, I mean, those kind of a comparison these days is, I mean, I think children don't take it in a right manner. It should be null and void. That's what I feel personally. It should be taken smoothly.
Moving on, Richard. The first part is the next question is, in your opinion, why would any parent be toxic to their child? What are your thoughts on it, ma'am? I'll come to you later.
No problem.
I'm not even sure why would I mean be someone like that because uh, personally I'm someone who appreciates when others do well. But
Hmm.
sometimes as parents, I've seen even my friends' parents that if I scored better marks, then they would tell their kids, if she can do it, why can't you? But at the same time, you have to recognize that we're different individuals with
Yeah.
different capabilities, with different backgrounds. So sometimes maybe she is not taking a coaching and I'm actually taking a coaching at the same time with school. So I'm getting more resources and more help, and that's why maybe I'm able to perform more. And sometimes it also happens that maybe I have certain capabilities, like I might be good at qualitative things than quantitative. So
Yeah.
it's not fair to compare, but when parents see things just objectively in terms of black and white, that's when comparisons start arising. And I think a lot of times they're not even aware that they are doing that. So
Exactly.
when you're not aware that you're doing that, you don't realize that you think that you're doing nothing wrong. You're just saying normal things, and it's a conversation, but it becomes toxic for the child and more harmful, psychologically for them because they feel pressured. They feel like maybe there's something not good with me. Maybe I'm not good enough. That's why the other person is getting better things than I am. So I mean, I know my friends who were told by their parents, if only you looked prettier, then you would get this and that. I mean, what can she do? If she has a certain body structure face, she cannot change it. But you have to also see she has a great personality. So I think it at times accidentally happens, and at times maybe parents had certain, things in their past that they went through that they are carrying on to their children.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my take on it.
Very good takes, both of you. A quick question before I move on to the next segment. Both of you have lived a considerable part of your life overseas. Rich, I know you've been there for 2 years. Ma'am, you've spent quite a lot of years. Do both of you reckon that this behavior is prevalent only in South Asian parents, or this is globally with every parent? Rich, I'll start with you, and ma'am, then I'll come to you.
I mean, when I talked to my colleagues and friends when I was in Spain and they were from different countries, I felt that it was mostly prevalent in our South Asian culture because I have like Chinese friends, Vietnamese friends, and all. They told me the similar story, and I think on some level we bonded upon those stories. Oh, your mom also did it, mine also did it. So and when I would talk to my let's say my Italian friends and everybody, and
Yeah.
they could be 30, 32, and starting off with their PhD, and I could see their parents being so supportive, and sometimes mine saying, "You are so old. You're 26, starting your PhD now. What will you do at 30?" And I think I've started taking it in a funny way instead of taking it negatively because
Negative.
it's much better to. That's a better way to deal with it. So
Yes.
yes.
Ma'am, what are your thoughts? Is it prevalent only in South Asia, or
Uh,
every parent is the same, no matter where they come from?
I think for me, I feel every parent is the same. Wherever you are concerned. This is so common. Like, you feel that it's not that you don't want your child to pursue studies, his or her, or career. But then always, like, South Asian, why it is more prevalent, I feel personally, because we are also quite dedicated, in the sense whether it's good or bad, that is for the young generation to judge. But suppose you are a single mother or a single father, you try to put your shoes or for both, whereas in most of the East African countries, I spend most of my time in East African countries, I felt they do concern for their child or children, but they also believe strongly that I have my own life. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So what they do is they might be 60-40, might be 50%. But here in South Asian countries, it's 20-80.
Reverse.
No, 80% of the time. And when we become single, we are more concerned that now I have to get the child the best. I want to give him or her the best. So, so it is, as a parent, I think it is relevant mostly globally with everybody. Might be the percentages,
Differs.
yeah, the quantification is different.
Changes. Well, fair enough. Um, Lily Sarkar says hi. Lily, thanks for tuning in, and thank you for watching us. Ma'am, the next question is for you. So you're a mother of two young men. You're working, you've worked, and you've moved across countries. So how have you imposed a sense of discipline and protocol in your children?
Uh, First of all, for me, discipline doesn't mean that it's aggressive. Discipline is the word which I personally feel that it is like a kind of a quantum which you have to follow within that, as I mentioned, within that limits.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that if you are not disciplined, you are not a good person, or you are not I mean, a progressive personnel, or you are not I mean, have not achieved something. It's
Mm.
nothing like that. But discipline, I personally feel, it makes your life easy. Say for
Yeah.
example, yeah, say for example, my elder son, he was all throughout, or he is in Bollywood. So, when I first met him, I interacted with his friends, his colleagues. I felt their life is so different than us. So,
Mm.
only thing for me, the discipline there was that eat properly, wake up early, go to bed, don't go to bed late, maintain a kind of a decorum so that it helps you. It helps your health. So, for me, discipline is something which I feel should be brought to children in this manner. And protocol, yes, I am a strong believer of a protocol. Like, if I respect my elders, I would definitely want my children to show respect. I won't expect them to talk to them every day or socialize the way I do it, but definitely you have to maintain your family values.
Yeah.
Please do it. And it should not be for anyone whom I tell, but any elderly person or a person who needs your help. Please maintain that kind of an attitude, or that kind of an honesty, that you can go forward and help the people. Protocol in another way is like, I would definitely expect my children to visit at least once Durga Puja candle, and pray their homage. So those are the kind of protocols I will definitely want my children to do it. And if I meet somebody and I see they're not doing it, I don't mind, even if they tell me that she is slightly hyper. I don't mind saying that beta, you could have done this.
Mm.
Or children, yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. My father says, "Do you think it is right to judge your parents?" Which I think you'll have to take this first, and then we'll move on to the parent to see her opinion. Richard, do you feel it's right to judge our parents?
I mean, technically, if I don't want to be judged, I should not be judging my parents as well. But I think being a human being, it's very natural to judge somebody else. So when sometimes you have your point you feel so strongly about, then you tend to think the other person is wrong. And I think the difficult part is when you also recognize their point and you know what they're saying is valid,
Mm.
and at the same time you want to assert your independence and your point as well, then as a person you feel extremely conflicted. Like I remember once I was telling a friend that my parents are at times so concerned that I feel stifled, but I when I don't listen to them I feel like I'm being a bad daughter. And
Mm.
that, and because I'm giving pain to my parents it gives me pain internally.
Mm.
And it's like I don't know how to get out of this whole circle and it's a mess. So sometimes you just learn to navigate it slowly, one day at a time. But I don't think we should be judging parents too harshly, which is what a lot of us kids do, I think, and I've done that too. And I'm trying to change it. So yeah.
Fair enough. Ma'am, do you think parents are in that position that they can be judged?
Uh, if you ask me, I don't mind. Even if the children do it, I'm sure most of the children won't do it just for the heck of doing it, you know.
Mm.
As Richa mentioned, sometimes unintentionally, you know, you are not sure what you're trying to do. But sometimes unintentionally, if they like to judge you, I don't think there is anything wrong in it because they are human beings. They have critical thinking, they have a critical thinking mind, they're exposed to all kind of media, social impacts, so they can always judge. So for that, you know, I feel as a parent, you should be consistent. Suppose if
Mm.
you're telling anything to your children that follow this, follow that, so try to follow what you have asked your children to do. So if
Yeah.
you have a consistency and you maintain a standard, it becomes easier for children also to fathom, you know. So that way, I'm okay. You know, it's okay.
This discussion leads me to a quick question to both of you. Um, do you guys think that it's right for us or for anyone to put their parents on a high end pedestal? Is it? Do we need to put them on a pedestal? Richa, what are your thoughts?
I think, yes, on some level we do it unintentionally as kids. Like, I expect my parents to be this perfect people, even though I'm not, and I don't want them to judge me. But I want them to rightly support me in things, stop me when I'm wrong, and all of that. And sometimes I tend to forget that my parents are individuals
Hmm.
and not just parents. And yes, I think it's not fair on our part to do it, but we do it quite often. Yeah.
Hmm. Ma'am, what are your thoughts on putting the parents on a pedestal?
Again, I'm quite, I agree with Richa that, of course, for the basic principle, we follow them, we learn. Like most of the time, it is said, this girl looks like a mother, or she behaves like a mother, or this boy behaves like like his father. So, you know, it is basically, you know, the instincts which
Yeah.
grow within you. So
Hmm.
obviously, you idolize someone. But then at the same time, I feel that if you have somebody really talented, better than, I mean, I won't say better than the parents, but has some quality, you should also regard or show respect to them and treat them like your parents, you know. I mean, so many people in your life, they come as a mentors, and you should accept them. I have
Absolutely.
so many students, I've been lucky enough, I've taught them so many years ago. They for my birthday they said, you are like a mother. So that's, I think, the biggest asset or a gift I can ever think of. So we should also do it for others, you know, whoever has a quality, we should
Absolutely, ma'am.
give
I totally
respect
agree.
and regard.
All right. My dad is on a roll, so he says, "Who, who will judge the gradient in pedestal?" Right. Ma'am, I'll start with you first. Richa, take some time to think on that. Ma'am, who judges the grade of the pedestal?
Yeah, that's what I understood. That's again very, you know, it's very quantified questions, and it varies from person to person. I mean, everybody has a different yardstick to judge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot have a standard yardstick. Would it have been a standard yardstick, then every parent would have been a god and goddess, and every child would have been the children of a gift of God, which
Yeah.
is, but then yardsticks are different. Sometimes, the environment at home also is not that adaptable, that you really don't know how to judge. If you are
Mm,
too many people, sometimes you say your parents are, they are busy doing their duties for the entire family, for the
mm,
members. So it's a different kind of a scale. But then, of course, I feel that children always learn whatever they learn, the good qualities, or sometimes the bad qualities. It first they learn from their parents, then they nurture it further. They try to manifest it properly,
mm.
because with their thinking, they are also an individual. They have a complete power to do that.
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
that's what I
Richa,
personally think.
as the young gen, oh, how do you think who judges the gradients?
I think I agree with Sumita ma'am about it, and a lot of times, as as a child, I have taken things out of context. For example, I would, as growing up, think my parents are strict, and they're always telling me study, study, and you need to do these studies and score well. And I felt such a huge pressure about scoring, and I would see my friends' parents being all relaxed. Even if they got bad marks, they would be relaxed, and I would think, what's wrong with my parents? But now that I'm 26, I think, oh my God, thank God my parents were strict that time, even though I was really annoyed with them. Because right now I feel like I am where I am because they were strict, and they made me do things that I was not willing to do, because I was not as smart and aware of life as I am right now. So, I mean, yes, when you see something else, you just totally out of don't take the context that your friend's mother's life is different, her upbringing is different, her values are different, and your mother is a different individual,
Hmm.
and she's trying to do the best she can at this moment, and you
Same.
realize it really later on. So now I am really thankful that my parents were strict that time. I remember I used to think, why won't they let me talk to boys? What is wrong? And now I recently saw this show called The Family Man, and I see how the ends up being kidnapped because her parents were just too awesome. And then I thought, I went to my father and I said, thank God you were strict even with boys. God knows what would have happened. So at times, I mean, you just, put your parents on a pedestal and judge them unfairly, and you realize it very later on that you were so unfair.
Perfect. Both of your answers perfect. Which I'll move on to you. The next part is what I want to know from you first is, as member of the present generation, many people are getting vocal. Like many people your and my age are getting vocal about this issue. Like they have difficult parents, they can't communicate through and through. What is the best way in this situation to deal with a parent who quotes and quotes might be being difficult?
I think it depends from person to person, and also you cannot have just one conversation and hope to fix the issue. You need to give them time, maybe months, years,
Hmm.
and also you also need to be more patient with them. So I mean, there are times when I have wanted to tell my parents something, and they have had different points, and we have been at crossroads, not come to a conclusion, and then I've become angry. But I think the whole thing is, I think you have to give them time, let them see that the world is changing.
Hmm.
And also, I think a bigger part is when you show that you're a responsible individual who is capable of taking care of themselves, then they are more sure about you and your decisions, and they're more accepting of
Hmm.
your decisions. So I think, yes, that's one thing we can do.
So you mean it's an ongoing process, but don't you
Yes.
reckon it requires efforts from both the sides? Like only if the child keeps on putting in effort, would we be as good as if both the parent and the child put in an effort?
Of course. I mean, if the only child puts and the parents are still not accepting, then you are at crossroads, and then it leads to huge issues. So I think it's really important. So I have been blessed with parents who have been willing to listen, and I have been willing to give them time. Though to admit, there have been times I have just stood up and threatened them that I'm going to do this. I don't care. I don't think that was a wise strategy. But sometimes you do things. I mean, recently a friend of mine was telling me that because I go to therapy, and he said that maybe your parents could also join you in therapy and understand your side with the therapist. And I said, no, I don't think I'm ready for my parents to join me, my therapist. It's a great idea to have that kind of mediator,
Mm.
but the idea of inviting your own parents with therapist, I am still not open to that idea. Yeah.
You've raised a very crucial point. In fact, you've paved the way for my next segment. So, ma'am, I'll start with you first. So, when
Mhm.
I talk to people around me for my chats and whatever, I faced a lot of rebuttal when I say that parents sometimes should also seek therapy, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
What are your thoughts on this, ma'am? As a parent, do you think that parents also need therapy sometimes? As a third person to tell them, look, this is better, or this is not right, etc., etc.
Uh, First of all, as Richa said, Chris, it's a two-way game.
Hmm.
Parents and children, they should come together, and it's always give and take, isn't it?
Hmm.
Until unless it is a give and take, you will always see that one side, the weight in the balance machine is either
Yeah.
lower or higher. Okay,
Yeah.
and of course, why not? Parents are also human beings. They're also individual. Some mother like might have gone through a tremendous pressure while giving birth to the child. So that mother is so possessive about the child that she doesn't want to share him or her. It can be him, it can be her, with
Yeah.
anybody. So sometimes it becomes a dogmatic state at home or with the family or with the friends. So that kind of a situation, she should require a therapy. Why not? Or the father, suppose I know some families where father is being extremely good, extremely intelligent, and he always wanted his children to either pursue their studies in IIT or IIM, but children did not come up to that level. It's not that they're not doing bad, but the different
That
genre,
level,
they've
yeah.
gone to the different profession, and he still feels that something is he is deprived of. So those kind of situation, I think they need a therapy. I mean, there is nothing wrong. Therapy is not something where you are showing a path. You are taking it to a horizon where you become open minded. You start communicating with your children in a positive manner. You start spending time with your children and say, yes, I understand why you chose this profession. So why therapy should be wrong? Therapy can be for anybody.
Let me
Parents
answer
doesn't
that
think that.
question. Let me answer that question to you, ma'am, so that I can put a little more light for both of you. Because
Mm,
I have heard this quite a few times that some parents have this mindset, oh, we are the parents. How
mhm,
come a third person is telling us what is right for you? We know the
mhm,
best for you. So, in those situations, the entire concept of therapy is null and void because to them, their parenting, they know the best for the child. So, in that situation, what do you do?
In that situation, only thing, Chris, is you have to show them with an example.
Hmm.
That's the best way. Show them an example. I'm just giving you a small example. I've got two boys. I've got two daughter-in-laws. Okay, for me, being an intelligent mother-in-law, I pamper my daughter-in-laws more than my sons. You
Hmm.
know why? Because they have come from a different house. Their bringing up was different than our family. Whatever I say, they say one stays in Bombay, one is in Delhi. But whenever my daughter in laws are there with me, I find if I pamper them, they will not have a kind of a feeling that she is a mother in law.
Hmm.
She can be treated like a mother. I don't want to be a mother. Mother is mother, mother in law is mother in law. But so that whenever there is a problem, I can play a role. Sometimes young generations, they don't like to share, not because for any other reasons, they don't want to pressurize the parents. Already with the COVID, with this pandemic, all of us are
It's all
standing
gone.
on a
Mm,
string. Yes.
mm, mm.
So we have to think it in a positive manner. So I feel that that let's take the example of this Olympics. So many people are criticizing, but for me, I find this is one of the best Olympic where our players, our participants, they are in the list of ninth or 10th. Earlier, it never happened. So that's the way, if you can explain, bring an example with a positive note, I think it
It's
works.
possible. Richa, quickly your thoughts on those parents who think, oh, no therapy can ever better us because we are the best parents for you. What are your thoughts for those parents?
I think just like Sumita ma'am said, you need to give them an example, but I think convincing them is also another ball game. And you, as a child, cannot single handedly do it. You need to involve maybe another family member
Hmm.
or friends, parents, or some support to make them listen, and somebody who's like their age group who can
Yeah.
explain to them that, listen, this is necessary, your child is being affected negatively by your attitude. So I think that's one of the ways. But if they're not willing to listen, then it's really extremely difficult for the child to convince them themselves. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, we are mindful of the time, guys. So this is like the last thing that I want to know before we wrap up. Um, how do we bridge the generation gap, which is obviously between us and our parents, and ma'am, you and your parents? How do we bridge the generation gap if effective communication is not helping? So, what are the alternate ways of solving this issue? Richa, I'll start with you, and then we'll close the discussion with ma'am.
I think for me, what has worked is communication only, by telling my parents more and more about my life. Because I know a lot of times, a lot of my friends say, "What? Why would you tell your parents this?" And
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
tell them I'm training my parents. Like, I need to train them to know that this is happening in the outside world. So, like, I had to explain to them the concept of online dating that is happening, and Tinder, Bumble. And initially my parents got furious that, what, this is happening, why would kids go, and this is so scary and everything. And I had to tell them that, see, generation is changing, people are not able to meet face to face, so this is what they're resorting to. And
Mm.
yes, there are dangers, but then there have been good cases, and you have to adapt. You cannot be like, okay, I don't know about them, I'm not going to listen what is out there. So for me, what works is continuous communication, even when they don't want to know things. So I think that works well.
Good. Ma'am, your thoughts?
My thoughts is, of course, you said without, something apart from communication is be honest to them. Once you are honest, you won't believe. It really works like a magic.
Hmm.
Parents don't like to hear or listen to anything, whether it is a good or bad, from a third party. They want it from the children, or from a child. So be honest. Even if you have done something wrong, just confess. You won't believe. Parents have such big hearts, they will just take you with a pinch of salt. And second thing, I feel that take your parents, the parents should travel exclusively.
Hmm.
Traveling opens your mind. It
Hmm.
opens the horizons. It opens the windows, So you get to see so many cases. Then you feel, oh my God, it's absolutely, my parents are the best. And for me, my children are the best. Let us be together. Whatever we have, we will see the negative part, we will keep the positive part and live together, So that is the most important thing.
That was a wonderful conversation, and it was great that I could hear both sides of the discussion. It was not biased at all. Thank you so much, Sumita ma'am. Thank you, Richa, for giving us your time, your presence, and your patience and time. And thank you for all the people who put in their questions and comments. Much appreciated. Um, we'll wrap it here, but this requires an ongoing communication. This is something that we can't wrap up in one communication alone. But we'll meet you very shortly in another episode. Till then, stay well, stay safe, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
God
you so
bless you,
much.
child. Thank you.